I remember sitting at my grandson's birthday party last summer. The family was gathered around the table, laughing, sharing stories. My wife of 56 years was across from me, smiling at something our daughter said. Then my 8-year-old granddaughter looked up at me and said, "Grandpa, why does Grandma always look so tired when you're around? She's different when it's just us." The table went quiet. My wife's smile faltered for just a moment, and in that second, I saw it. A truth I'd been missing for years. The child's innocent observation cut straight to my heart. Have you ever wondered if your wife feels the same way? If behind that familiar smile is a woman who's carrying a burden you can't see? If somewhere along your decades together, something changed? Camera shifts closer. I'm Dr. Robert Henderson. I've practiced medicine for over 6 decades, and at 91 years old, I still see patients 3 days a week. Not because I need to, but because after helping more than 40,000 older couples navigate their health and relationships, I've learned something most doctors never will. You see, I've spent the last 20 years specializing in geriatric care and relationship health. My research has been published in medical journals, but more importantly, I've lived through these challenges myself. My wife Eleanor and I just celebrated our 63rd anniversary, but it wasn't always celebrations and harmony. What I'm about to share with you today comes not just from medical training, but from sitting with thousands of couples in their 60s, 70s, and 80s who thought their best days were behind them. Couples who couldn't understand why their marriages had grown silent, tense, or lonely. And it turns out there's something specific happening in marriages after 60 that no one talks about, least of all, your wife. Camera pans to show family photos on the desk. Just last month, Margaret came into my office. She was 72, had been married for 46 years, and was there alone. Her husband thought she was shopping. "I love him," she told me, "but sometimes I feel like I'm drowning." Her voice shook as she explained how she couldn't bear to tell her husband how she really felt, that after decades of marriage, she was silently building resentment. "I take care of everything," she said. "The house, the cooking, remembering. The grandkids' birthdays, managing his medications, planning our lives. He doesn't see it. He thinks retirement means he's done working, but my job got bigger." Margaret isn't alone. In my practice, I hear this from wives every single day. Thomas and Ruth, married 51 years. Ruth confided that she fantasizes about living alone, not because she doesn't love Thomas, but because it would be less work than taking care of a husband who never learned to take care of himself. Or James and Betty, both 78. Betty told me, "I feel invisible in my own home. He talks over me, dismisses my concerns about my health, and expects me to serve him like it's 1955. These women aren't unusual. They represent a silent epidemic I see in my practice every day. Most men over 60 have no idea this is happening. You probably believe your marriage is fine, maybe not as passionate as when you were younger, but stable, comfortable. After all, she hasn't said anything, has she? But here's what's actually happening in your wife's mind. She's exhausted by invisible labor that's grown heavier with age, feeling increasingly taken for granted, and wondering if this is all there is to her remaining years. Camera shifts back to Doctor, speaking directly and compassionately. "Now I want you to know something important. This isn't your fault, and it's not your wife's fault either. What's happening is the result of how our generation was raised, combined with natural aging processes that create a perfect storm in marriages after 60. Here's what medical science has discovered, but no one has bothered to explain to you. As men and women age, our brains actually change differently. Women's brains maintain stronger neural connections in the frontal cortex, the part responsible for emotional regulation and social awareness. Men, on the other hand, experience more dramatic changes in the temporal lobe, which affects empathy and emotional recognition. In simple terms, your ability to notice emotional cues from your wife has diminished at exactly the time when she needs that recognition most. Additionally, after decades of gender roles being reinforced, retirement often means very different things to husbands and wives. Studies show that men typically see retirement as the end of responsibilities, while women rarely experience this transition the same way. Their caregiving and household management roles often intensify. And here's the most important part. Research from the University of Michigan found that marriages where this imbalance exists have significantly higher rates of depression in wives, physical health problems in both partners, and a 43% higher risk of serious marital dissatisfaction. But nobody tells you this. The doctors just prescribe antidepressants to your wife instead of addressing the real problem. Leans forward, eyes bright with hope. But there's good news. I've developed a simple protocol that has transformed thousands of marriages, including my own. It costs nothing, can be done in the privacy of your home, and most couples see dramatic improvements in just 7 days. Before I share this protocol with you, I want to be clear. This isn't about blame or making massive changes. These are small, dignified adjustments that respect who you are while transforming how your wife experiences your marriage. William, age 82, tried this protocol and called me 3 weeks later. His voice cracked as he told me, "Doc, my wife held my hand at dinner last night. She hasn't done that in 15 years. Let me show you exactly what to do." Camera angle widens slightly as doctor begins explaining the solution. Step 1. The morning recognition practice. Each morning, before you do anything, else I want you to look at your wife and notice something specific about her. Not a generic "you look nice," but something particular. "I like how you've styled your hair," or "that blue sweater brings out your eyes." Here's why this works. Neuroscience shows that specific compliments activate the ventral striatum, the brain's reward center. General compliments don't have the same effect. After decades together, your wife's brain has become desensitized to vague praise. The key is to do this before asking for anything or talking about your needs. This signals to her brain that she's valued for herself, not for what she does for you. For older gentlemen with memory concerns, here's a simple trick. Keep a small notepad by your bed with 3 specific things you could notice about your wife. Glance at it before you get up. James, 77, told me he felt awkward at first. "I hadn't really looked at my wife in years," he admitted. But by day 5, his wife Patricia was responding differently, smiling more, standing taller. Step 2. The responsibility rotation. Choose one household task that your wife typically handles and take complete ownership of it, not helping with it, owning it entirely. This could be managing medication refills and pickups, handling a specific bill or financial task, taking charge of 1 meal per day, maintaining 1 room of the house. The critical element here is full ownership. Research from Harvard Medical School found that when older adults take complete responsibility for tasks, rather than just helping, it creates a 78% greater sense of relief for their partners. For men with physical limitations, choose tasks that match your abilities. If standing is difficult, perhaps you can take over paying the bills or making appointments. The task itself matters less than the complete transfer of mental responsibility. One important elderly hack: use technology to your advantage. Set up automatic reminders on your phone for recurring tasks. This shows your wife you're serious about not adding to her mental load. Charles, 74, decided to take over all aspects of grocery shopping, planning meals, making lists, ordering online, and putting everything away. "My wife almost cried the first time she realized she didn't have to think about dinner," he told me. "She said she'd been planning meals for 52 years, without a break." Step 3. The evening check-in protocol. Each evening, sit down with your wife for exactly 7 minutes. Ask her these specific questions. What was the hardest part of your day? Is there anything you're worried about that I should know? Is there anything I can do for you tomorrow? Then, and this is crucial, just listen. Don't problem solve unless she explicitly asks for solutions. Don't compare her struggles to yours. Just nod, maintain eye contact, and say, "I understand." Or, "That sounds difficult." The medical reason this works is fascinating. Active listening without interruption stimulates oxytocin production, the bonding hormone, in both the speaker and listener. For women particularly, being heard without interruption reduces cortisol levels by up to 34%, according to research from UCLA's Stress Lab. For men with hearing difficulties, here's an elderly hack. Have this conversation in a quiet room with no background noise. Sit facing each other with good lighting so you can see facial expressions. If needed, keep a small notepad handy to write. Down key points so you don't have to ask her to repeat herself. Richard, 84, was skeptical about this step. "I'm not much of a talker," he told me, but after 2 weeks, his wife Ellen reported feeling seen for the first time in decades. "He's not saying much more than he used to," she said, "but he's really listening. That makes all the difference." Step 4. The touch connection. As we age, meaningful physical touch often disappears from marriage. Yet research shows that gentle, non-sexual touch is crucial for emotional health and longevity. Each day, make a point of having 3 brief moments of kind physical contact with your wife that aren't related to sex and don't lead to requests. Gently touch her shoulder when you pass in the hallway. Hold her hand during a television show offer, a 30-second shoulder rub while she's reading. Studies from the Touch Research Institute show that regular, caring touch lowers blood pressure, reduces anxiety, and increases feelings of security in relationships. Particularly important benefits for aging. Couples. For men with arthritis or mobility issues, even the lightest touch counts. If your hands hurt, try simply placing your hand near hers or gently touching forearms while sitting together. Harold, 79, incorporated this practice despite initial discomfort. "We hadn't touched much in years except accidentally," he said. After 3 weeks, his wife started initiating contact too. "Last night she sat next to me on the couch instead of in her usual chair," he reported, his voice revealing his amazement. Step 5. The gratitude articulation. Every evening before sleep, tell your wife one specific thing she did that day that made your life better or easier. Make it detailed and authentic. Not "thanks for dinner," but "I appreciate how you remembered to make the chicken without garlic since it bothers my stomach now." The neurological impact of this practice is profound. Expressing specific gratitude activates parts of the brain associated with moral cognition, reward and bond formation. For the receiver, hearing specific appreciation reduces inflammatory markers in the bloodstream, a remarkable physical benefit from an emotional exchange. For men who find verbal expression difficult, here's an elderly hack. Keep a small journal where you write down one thing each day you appreciate. This makes it easier to articulate when bedtime comes and gives you a reference to review. Camera moves in closer as doctor shares personal testimony. Now, let me tell you about a few of the couples whose lives have been transformed by these simple practices. Robert and Jean, both 75, came to me on the verge of separation after 47 years of marriage. Jean couldn't articulate exactly what was wrong, just that she couldn't do it anymore. Robert was bewildered and hurt. I taught Robert this protocol, and he committed to it fully, despite his skepticism. 3 weeks later, Jean called my office, in tears, but they were tears of relief. "It's like I've gotten my husband back," she said. "Not the young man I married, but someone even better, a man who finally sees me." 6 months later, they reported taking their first vacation together in a decade. Jean told me, "For years, trips meant I did all the planning, packing and worrying while Robert just showed up. This time we shared everything. I actually got to relax." Then there's Michael and Dorothy, both 81. Dorothy had developed mild cognitive impairment, and Michael was struggling as her caregiver. He felt increasingly resentful, then guilty about that resentment. After implementing this protocol, particularly the touch connection and gratitude articulation, Michael reported a profound shift. "I remembered why I'm doing this," he told me. "Not because I have to, but because this is the woman I've loved for 60 years. Dorothy's cognition didn't improve, but their relationship did. Michael found joy in caregiving that had been missing. Before most moving was Henry, 86, and Alice, 83. They came to me after Alice had become increasingly withdrawn. She'd stopped joining Henry for meals and spent most days alone in their bedroom. Henry was diligent about the protocol, especially the morning recognition and evening check-in. After 4 weeks, Alice began joining him for breakfast again. After 6 weeks, she suggested they invite their grandchildren over, something she hadn't done in over a year. I felt invisible, she later explained to me. After so many years, Henry looked through me like I was a piece of furniture. Now he sees me again. Camera pulls back slightly as Doctor begins conclusion. Now I want to speak directly to you, one older gentleman to another. It's never too late to transform your marriage. The woman who has stood beside you all these years is still there, still hoping for connection, still capable of joy and intimacy with you. The changes I've outlined don't require grand gestures or uncomfortable conversations. They don't ask you to become someone you're not. They simply invite you to see the woman you married and to show her that you do. Try this protocol for just 7 days. What do you have to lose? At our age, time is precious. Don't waste another day in a marriage that could be so much more fulfilling for both of you. Your wife may not say anything at first. That's normal. After years or decades of feeling unheard or taken for granted, she may be cautious. But I promise you, she notices. Every small change registers in her heart. I've seen marriages of 50, 60, even 70 years transformed through these simple practices. Couples who hadn't held hands in decades touching spontaneously. Women who had given up on being heard, sharing their deepest thoughts again. Men discovering a tenderness they thought had been lost to time. My own marriage transformed when I learned these principles. Eleanor and I had a good marriage before, but now in our 90s we have a great one. Just last week, she told me, I feel more loved now than when we were young. Remember my granddaughter's innocent question that day at the birthday party? 6 months after I began this protocol, that same little girl said something else. Grandma looks happy when she sees you now. There is no greater gift at our age than knowing we bring joy rather than burden to those we love most. It's never too late to be the husband your wife has always needed. It's never too late to create a final chapter together. That's your story's very best. Try it for 7 days. Notice how your wife responds. Notice how you feel. Your family will see the difference. But more importantly, so will you. If this video has helped you, please click the like button and share it with other men your age. Too many of us are missing out on the deep connection that should be the crowning glory of our long marriages. Thank you for listening today. From one older gentleman to another, I wish you and your wife every happiness in the years you have left together.